things off by thanking our brand new sponsor, Vapoo Rub. It's been 26 days now that I've felt like absolute complete shit. And thank you, Vapoo Rub, for making me feel like I'm drowning in my own frickin' mucus. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is I, your neighborhood-friendly coach, trainer, and promoter, 43-year-old professional wrestler, Zack Primetime Reeb. Oh, that's probably because I'm sick, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner. Is there trouble in Going Overville in the RWF between Mr. Primetime and the Wrecking Ball? Paul, welcome to the program. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. It's just getting a little later. We got training here in a couple hours. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see who shows up, see who wants to put some work in, and we'll go from there. Who wants to be the next superstar?
Next big thing?
Stupid star.
Who wants to be next big thing? Big hangy thingy in the back of your throat? You know, the Japanese voice machine is working. It does look like your voice is off. It kicked me off 2 episodes ago. It kicked you off last episode, and now your mouth is moving rather slowly. Hopefully that picks up. But you know what? I wanted to talk about something today, something that has been on my mind for a long time, and I really have been it's been on my mind for years. I believe we talked about it on the podcast before. We were talking about superstar Billy Graham at a Cauliflower Alley convention at a seminar, had said, everything's already been done. You can't do nothing new. On a question that was asked straight from Sander Vision by Derek Sanders. And I thought about that for years, man, and I disagreed with that. And I started thinking about it. It's like, there's scenarios, there's gimmick matches, but nothing is ever really the same, right?
Right.
The Going Over podcast, I could leave and you could get somebody else in here. You could leave and somebody else could come in. There will never be the personality of Paul Isadora or the personality of Zack Reeb. There's not 2 of us. Even if there's an identical twin, there's not 2 of you. Even if you're doing a last man standing match, it's never going to be the same. You could replicate Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 12 with 2 other characters, Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega. Those are 2 different personalities, heights, weights, different gear, different move sets, even if they're trying to do the other people's moves. So when I always thought, no, that's what makes professional wrestling click. That's what makes it continue to run after all these years, is there's always going to be different personalities. There's always going to be different characters. And as long as you're able to develop, as long as you're able to help that character continue to grow and evolve into something different, and as long as you're able to continue storylines that people want to follow, you could run the same fucking storyline over and over and over again, and it's never going to be the same because of the personalities, because of the characters, because of the difference in athleticism, the difference in the way people talk. It's like music. There's all this Suno and AI shit, right? But at the end of the day, still to this day, an artist is never going to sound like another artist. Their songs are never going to be the exact same because of the differences in the way we're thinking and what's going on in our life and the world. So I just found that funny because I never have a problem coming up with ideas. And if somebody thinks they're original or they're not original, I get people saying like, oh, you're just recycling stuff that's already been done. But it's like the whole world is a recycle. There's barely any innovative things that have never been created. And when they are, people get patents on them and they create these things that make millions and billions of dollars. So I just remember hearing that from superstar Billy Graham at a seminar where he said one time, "It's all been done, buddy. You can't do nothing new." And it's like, oh no, you can, because there's always going to be a new personality and a character. And as long as you are willing to put time into that character to get those characters over, you could run the same storyline, the same gimmick match, whatever you want, but it's always going to have a different personality and a different character, and it's always going to be played differently. And I think that is the beauty of entertainment. I think that is what really attracts me to pro wrestling. It's like, how many different Batmans have we seen played? How many different Jokers have we seen played? Different Supermans. And the thing about it is, it's the same character, but the story is changing a little bit. And most importantly, the actor himself is doing a different job with that character. So that character is never going to be the same. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're absolutely right on that. I think about, somebody had mentioned how, like in our wrestling or our training thread about what brought you into wrestling, what makes you excited, things like that. So, it's a lot of different things about the business that gets people excited, and you're talking about things that could be duplicated and things like that. So, somebody had said something about entertaining and exciting, different characters, different types of matches, steel cage, elimination chamber, Royal Rumble, exciting moves have always stood out to me. So things like that. So you think about you're talking about the same thing over and over, and it's like we talk about culminations of feuds and the blow off, the quote unquote blow off of a feud, and so many times it was kind of the staple where you'd blow off a feud in a steel cage, right? Where it's like one guy's trying to get away from the other guy, and this is in theory going to keep them in the ring together, and the whole goal is to escape the cage, and but you have to scale the fence in order to do that. And you think about how many different times they've done a steel cage match, and different characters are going to or do it differently. And you think about all these different the like ladder matches, for instance, and it's like you always think about how if you are going to get into a ladder match, what the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go back and watch other ladder matches to get ideas. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get ideas of things that I'm going to do. But that's not really the way that I look at it. I think about like, what are things that haven't been done, right? Maybe there's a teeter-totter spot or something along those lines. Like, okay, well, maybe you steer clear of that, and maybe you set up the ladder a different way. And you think about like Chris Jericho talked about using the ladder as a weapon, right? I'm not going to use it to climb and make different acrobatic things, to jump off of or anything like that, or to land on, or I'm going to try to find unique ways to use the ladder as a weapon throughout the match. So the different mindset of a guy like that versus guys that are talking about acrobatic things that they could do off of a ladder, takes the exact same match, but makes it completely different. And you talk about everything's been done. It's like, well, no, you're going to think about unique things that your character specifically could do in certain matches, So I think that's, that goes to your point, is that everything hasn't been done. There is things that you could do and make it unique, even with the same concept. You talked about Last Man Standing, and it used to be a thing where you would have a battle royal was an attraction match, right? It's like, oh, well, I'm going to go to a wrestling show, not because I'm interested in any of the other storylines, but it's because I'm interested in seeing a battle royal because it's unique. So, and you think about all the different adaptations they've made from everyone starting all at the same time to now the Royal Rumble style, or just different adaptations that they've made to the quote unquote battle royal. Turn it into the Royal Rumble style, or you've seen the reverse battle royal or reverse Royal Rumble. People are trying to put little tweaks on it to make it unique and make it different. So that's definitely I can't agree with you more about the uniqueness of the things that we can do nowadays versus things that have already been done. So I definitely don't think that we've used up everything that can be done, and nothing's going to be due ever again. So that's my take on that.
I think that's one thing I was talking about today was I saw a ad for Suno or Suni or whatever the fuck it's called, and I looked at it, and it was the guy singing his lyrics into auto tune, and he downloaded the program, and I know Doc uses it a lot, and it created you no longer have to go to the studio. You no longer have to actually be a musician. You can just sit at your house and record your whole fucking album and upload it, and everything else. You could do one by yourself if you'd like. And I thought about it like back in the day. Sorry. Those things are awesome. Doc's always sending me new songs. I have a new song through AI, which I really like. But that's kind of what wrestling did back in the day. Jim Johnston stood in the studio with his guitar for WWF and made all these amazing, memorable, cheesy wrestling songs that we remember to the day, uh, the Demolition, what I mean, he made all those songs with his guitar in the WWE studios. And this is good for us as a wrestling promotion, having that type of thing. It may not be good for music as a whole, but it's good for us because we can throw lyrics into something and AI generate us good, nice, cheesy songs that we can use, because the era of using Metallica and other bands like that to come out, I mean, it's copyright, man. Like if you're using something now, music, you got to say, hey, I do not have the permission or the rights to use this track. So I think that's something that this is really cool for, is the usage of creating your own music, because I mean, some of it sounds good, but it's real cheesy. You can tell it's AI and you can tell it's computer generated. But some of my favorite songs growing up that I'll never forget were cheesy in studio tracks that WWF created that we'll never forget to this day. And I think that is the beauty of pro wrestling. I don't, maybe besides the Sandman, coming out to Enter Sandman, there's a couple guys that used real songs, and when real bands play real music for the guys too, and do special interests like Cult of Personality and stuff. But I just think, man, we're in a time too where everything can be AI generated. Shit, there was I was wrestling Kid Carson in Carson City, and Brandon Nash got a hold of me, my match, a clip of it where I'm walking up to him, and it's me walking up to him. And as soon as I get up to him, he AI generates the video. And you can tell if you look closely, it's not my face, but I'm walking up to him where I'm going to beat the shit out of him because I'm in control of the match. And he stands up and gives me a kiss on the lips. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, and what do I do in that situation? I can do nothing but laugh and give props, respect to the creative pervert that knows how to use AI. Because, I mean, if I couldn't just take your photo, like I'm old school, man. I'm going to take your photo. I'm going to put it on the edit on my phone. It's going to pop up there. I'm going to hit the little pencil button, probably yellow, draw a fucking dick with the penis head and some drips coming out, a couple testicles on your chin. call you some derogatory names, and I'm going to post that in the group, and they're going to be like, why did Zack do that? And I'm like, why did I do that? Because Zack is old school, bro. That's what Zack used to do back in the day. That's funny. Or I could just spread a rumor about you in the old locker room, huh? These two male competitors were caught in the shower area, and we'll leave it at that. Because remember the opening topic, Paul, everything has already been done.
That's right. Well, I think some of the AI music that's been generated, it takes into consideration a lot of different aspects of your character, right? So I think that it's unique when you hear it like that. You know, and maybe it does sound cheesy or whatever, but I do like the fact that you're able to kind of put in different characteristics, maybe of your character and things like that that are going to make it very unique and different, right? It might sound similar to another song, but it's not the same because the lyrics are different. It reminds me of like Weird Al Yankovic, right? That would basically just take these songs that everyone knows, and then he would make just a parody of it, right? So, and I love that type of stuff. I love listening to all the songs that he made, you know, that were you know, a spoof on something else. Always pretty entertaining. So definitely, I like that part of the AI music. You know, moving forward here because you know you have the creativity of you know, the Johnston guy from WWF, and you know he's gonna put whatever is in his mind into the music. But you know, with the AI, you're able to kind of, you know, take all of the aspects and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. My character is, you know, 7 feet tall and former basketball player, and just like you can put all the different characteristics in there to try to generate that music and get something unique that's gonna speak to your, you know, speak to your character a little bit more rather than just some chords and you know, different, maybe different music and different vocals and things like that. It's going to be a little bit more unique like that. So we're not having people just come out to a song that you've heard before, which I think lends a little bit more to, you know, you come out of the curtain and you've got some unique music and people automatically know, oh, that's this guy, right? So I don't know. I think especially with independent wrestling, you had so many people that were using the same songs, right? It's like, oh, I like that song, so I'm going to come out to it. And then it's like, oh, this same guy on the same show, he's using the same music too. So now there's no way for the fans to know when the music hits who's actually coming out. So I think that that's definitely a benefit of the AI music and
Of the closet.
Of the what?
Of the closet.
Of the closet.
Yeah, he said coming out.
That's right. Of the dick.
That's my AI generation right there, guys. That's what
it.
Zack does. All art is 100% created and drawn by Zack Reeb on the spot. If you're interested, Venmo, Zelle, or you could possibly just, I don't know, fucking hit that subscribe button, give us a like, little comment, little share, even if you tell us we're dipshits, and I'll send you some 100% authentic artwork. Send me your email address or your actual mailing address. Free shipping, by the way. Free shipping. You know, we're just at this point, man. I think that everybody should use their own music. I think everybody should be focused on characters and the development of characters, because that is what is going to, as I've heard you say, and I've heard many promoters say, put butts in seats. I've heard Jim Ross saying, we're trying to put a butt every 18 inches. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. How are we going to do that? We are not going to do that by just throwing guys out there, especially young wrestlers, whatever, and just having wrestling matches. Hey, I'm going to a wrestling show. I like wrestling. Man, I really like this character and this story that's going on. I'm going to follow this and I'm going to spread the word of this story because that is what's going to generate the buzz and coming to a show. If you have a movie and you have no plot and you have no character and you just decided to film a fucking movie, it's almost like sitting there and watching the National Geographic. It's almost like watching animals run in the kingdom wild, and they're filming it. They're like, oh, look at the zebra. Oh, here comes the lion. Here comes the lion. And there's your story. The lion's about to eat the fucking zebra because the National Geographic guys are filming. We have to have some oomph behind what we're doing, man. Living proof at your last show. And the first thing you got to do as a company, the first thing you have to do as a wrestler is you have to establish who you are. Are you the good guy? Are you the bad guy? Do they like you? Maybe you want to be the good guy. Maybe it is, I'm a heel for real, and they just like you. Or maybe you're just terrible at being the bad guy, and the good guy is a better bad guy than you are. Everybody wants something, right? They see themselves in a certain way and they want something. The problem is they're not willing to work hard to get what they want. So you want to be a good heel. You're not. Guess what? Got to work at it. You got to find guys that are good heels. You got to go watch matches with guys that are good heels. You have to go find somebody that can help you get over as a heel, cut a good heel promo, teach you some stuff, man. One of the big things that bother me, and maybe one day we'll get there, and this could all just be big practice, right? But if you go back on these, what episode are we on right now?
86.
86 episodes. I had somebody tell me at your show, I think it was Ralph. He said, man, I started following that United Kingdom guy or something. And I broke it down and it was Damian Slater, right?
Oh, sure.
And he's like, yeah, you guys were posting some stuff and I started following him. I said, do you listen to the podcast? He goes, sometimes. And I said, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? I said, pull your phone out right now. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you listening to this? Right here in front of you, we're giving you this shit. And I said, I don't know what episode it is, but do you know we had that guy on the podcast for an hour, asking him all the tough questions about wrestling situations and stories and character development and all this stuff, and he's answering it. So you're following this guy, you're in our company, and you're telling me about this guy because of us, but we have a podcast with him on there, and nobody has, nobody goes and watches that. Or maybe they do watch it and then they forget because we live in this world where everything is just boom, 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 right now.
Yeah, so I think you talk about trying to play a good character and things like that, and I wanted to talk to you about that as kind of a general rule about people wanting to be something specific in the wrestling business, but either don't want to put in the work to do it, or don't understand how to do the work. And I think I was talking to you about someone wanting to get in shape, right? It's like, hopefully all this work I'm doing is in the gym is going to help me get in shape. And the kind of the conversation that I had with them about and I had heard it a thousand times myself. It's like, man, I'm putting all this work in the gym and, the weight's not coming off or whatever. I'm not getting the results I'm looking for. And, and it's a a difficult conversation to have when someone's going to look you in the eye and go, "Hey, what's your diet look like?" Right? Because you can't out train a bad diet, right? So I think in a lot of cases, people think they're getting in shape because they're
Going to the
you know
gym.
well, they go to the gym. So I'm gonna be I'm gonna look fantastic because they go to the gym. It's like, well, but if you're eating fast food and eating like shit all the time, and just you think about guys like Alexander Hammerstone, and this guy has been counting calories for like a decade, maybe more. But I just remember seeing him on shows, and you talked about this with Brian Cage. It's like the guy shows up with this whole fucking meal bag, and he's just looks at his watch or looks at his phone and say, "Oh, it's 4:30. It's time for me to have my next meal." And I say, "Well, what is that supposed to mean?" It's like, "Oh, well, I got all my meals planned out on what time I need to eat them and how many calories they are, how many grams of protein, carbs, fats, um, all the different things are all dialed in." It's like that's what a diet is. A diet is going through and counting your macros and having everything down to the exact ounces, right? You're weighing your food, all this stuff. And I think people are like, well, I'm not eating fast food. I made a huge change. I'm not eating fast food. It's like, well, how
Cut
many
out
calories?
bread.
Right. How many calories are you eating? Well, I don't know. Well, like, what does your diet look like? Well, I don't really have one. It's like, well, dude, you need to put this shit together, man. You need to figure out what you're going to eat at different times of the day. Like, a lot of times I think about, when I was getting ready for a bodybuilding show, it was very similar to what these guys are doing. These guys, Brian Cage and Hammerstone, obviously to a way higher level, but it was like, you've got everything planned out. You've got them in your Tupperwares, and you just open it up and you eat what's in there because you've measured it out. You've determined what time you're going to eat it, and everything's planned out as far as what time you're going to the gym, how much water you're drinking, all this different stuff. And I think it relates directly to wrestling. It's like, how many times a week are you training? If you want to get really good at being a good heel, how are you doing that? Are you trying to become a good heel by wrestling an 8-minute match once a week, or are you going to training and working on several matches and several scenarios and things like that to work on? These are the things I'm going to do to become a good heel. I think it all kind of falls into the same category with all the preparation that you have to do if you want to be good at being a heel or being in great shape or whatever it is. So I think those are the things that I think about as far as, your want to be a certain place on the card, or getting better at a certain role on the show, things like that. So I think definitely, you talked about us as a huge resource as far as just listening to what we're talking about on the podcast. But that's just one of many things that people can be doing to get better at pro wrestling.
Well, yeah, it that is a huge resource, especially for young local people that are around. And you say the eating, the dieting, and it's like me and you put down a couple massive burritos after the show at Mi Pueblo. But the thing is, it's harder to get out of shape. It's harder to get in shape than out of shape. So if Alexander Hammerstone or Brian Cage decided they were going to sit down and eat a burrito that size with us, that burrito is not going to affect them at all. It's not going to affect them. Their metabolism is moving at a different rate because they've already put in that work. And I just hate when people are like, "Oh, that guy's on steroids. That guy's on HG." Who gives a shit? Sylvester Stallone for all his movies, Dolph Lundgren, Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Rock, you name them. Anybody who's jacked up and pumped like that has taken a substance, a PED, right? And that's okay because it's not going to kill them. And most importantly, you got to put in even harder work once you decide to go that route. You have to work harder. The gym can make you stronger. The gym can work on cardiovascular conditioning if you're running on a treadmill and shit. The gym, once you lose the weight or you want to cut down, the gym can make your muscles bigger. They can make your muscles more toned. The gym has been proven to make people feel better about themselves because of the endorphins and the sweat and the pump. But if you're looking to lose weight or get in shape, it's all in the kitchen, my friend. We just said it. What do you see Alexander Hammerstone doing? You always see him posting. I'm friends with him, posting his prep, And to a normal person who's trying to cut fat and drop belly fat and stuff, what Mr. Hammerstone has cooked for himself throughout the week is probably not what you want to cook for yourself throughout the fucking week. Brian Cage was my height, 5'11", 6 foot when I first met him. He was 185, 190 pounds. I got the pictures to prove it. But one thing that Brian was going to the gym, good athlete. But Brian, every trip we went on, had his bag. And there's times he had tilapia fish with some vegetables. It was cold. And we were eating at a fast food place or a convenience store. And the car smells like shit, right? But I watched Brian literally go from 185 to 190 pounds to up to like 215 pounds with a ripped six pack. And then next thing you know, we're not seeing Brian anymore. We don't get to talk to Brian. We don't get to ride in the car with Brian anymore because Brian is in Connecticut and he's on top of the Titan Towers and he's filming a set for Nightclaw, I believe was his name. He was going to be a superhero, Nightclaw. And I don't know if that obviously never materialized, but while we're sitting at John O'Connell High School for Pro Wrestling Revolution or an APW event in California, just hours from our house, Brian is nowhere to be found because Brian has signed a contract with World Wrestling Entertainment, and Brian is making more money than we are making this weekend. Oh, and by the way, Vince McMahon and his crew are on top of the towers starting to take pictures and film for this possible character with Brian Button on top of that's how it happens, guys. And you could sit here and say, oh, I've heard people say about Alexander Hammerstone, he's too big, his movements, he's just taking big bumps. And why is he doing it? We can say whatever we want to say about those guys, but the truth is, we're going to see him pop up on NXT. We're going to see him on AEW. Powerhouse Hobbs is another example. When he was downtown Chauncey Brown when he was in PCW, he was 6'1", 6'1", $170, skinny little fucker. You know what I mean? Great guy. And next thing you know, he starts taking the diet and his body seriously. And I believe he was teaming up with Damian Grundy. And I forgot what the name of their team was. But then all of a sudden he's in AEW. And God, he's been there for what? Since the start, I think. He's been there for 5 or 6 years since the pandemic with AEW from almost the start. And he's still got a job there. And you know what? I'm pretty sure Powerhouse Hobbs, Brian Cage, Alexander Hammerstone, I'm pretty sure those guys are making a lot more money than us right now. So get the fuck in shape. One thing I wanted to point out too was have you seen Grayson Waller, if you know who that is in WWE lately?
I haven't, but
coming out with the New Day, the white Australian guy.
Okay.
He's shredded right now. He's shredded, man. Leaned out. And it's best advice I was ever given was from, I forget which Ballard brother told me. I think it was Shannon. And I was going out there one night and I had really gotten a little out of shape. And I said, man, do I wear a shirt or not? And he goes, well, you plan on getting back into good shape like you were in, right? And I said, yeah. He's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. He said, well, go out there without your shirt on. So that way the fans see where you're at right now. And then in a month or two, when you come back around and you're in better shape, they're going to appreciate that because they're going to notice and say, this kid's working hard. So even if you're out of, it's like the Chase Jackson kid, you know, right now, he looks out of shape. You can tell he's an athlete, great kid. But I love that he doesn't wear a shirt when he goes out there. And I've already seen he's made, pretty good progress on weight loss since he first came in. And it's like when that kid in 6 months from now, we've seen him with his shirt off. If that kid in 6 months from now has finally lost all the fat, like Gunther, you know what I mean? Gunther, you notice those things. So Paul, you could not be, and that's what you guys from Reno that I always remember. You guys called yourself the Body Guy Crew or something, the BGC. I mean, it was. I seen a picture of Luster the other day wrestling at TWF, and his hamstring, as gay as it sounds, that the hamstrings, the quads, the fucking the chest, Luster the Legend is in amazing shape. He looks like a professional wrestler, and we're at the same age, so he's putting in that work. And that's something that you can't deny on him. You could deny maybe like, hey, why are you being an asshole in some of the comments? You don't need to be. We're all friends. But you go, no matter what, he's a great pro wrestler and he looks like a fucking gladiator. You know what I mean? So you got to respect the guys no matter what that put in the work. And you couldn't have said it better yourself, man. That body's so important.
Right. Well, and you think about Lester as well, like just how he used to always wear long tights, right? And then I'm sure the picture that you just saw, he's wearing trunks now, and it's like he's always had these gigantic legs, like good sized legs, and and now he's showing it off, right? He's wearing trunks and you're seeing those things. You're going, wow, this guy's got huge quads, he's got big hamstrings, just has big legs, and you think about guys that could make that transition, whether it's I think you were telling me about, you were asking someone to come in trunks and they came in tights or something like that. I don't remember who that was referencing, but those are certain things that you see and you go, hey, I wonder if you'd look better in tights, or if you'd look better in trunks, or singlet top, or whatever it is, and that goes back to how you were talking about making a change every once in a while, right? It's a way to kind of refresh your character, and you look a little bit different, and people go, people take notice generally, even if it's as subtle as changing the lace color in your boots, or a subtle change to your gear, or now you're wearing wrist tape, or whatever it is. It's just something to kind of keep progressing your character a little bit, so you don't look like the same old stale version that you were, last year or several years ago. So that's definitely something that I've been thinking about as far as, opportunity to get back in the ring. Like, what is my gear going to look like versus what did it used to look like? So, and so taking those things into consideration, moving forward, looking to the future of what that's going to look like for me as well. So, but excited about that, and hopefully start getting in better shape.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to talk about too is, and I've seen it, happen to some of my students lately, is constructive criticism, right? We talk about constructive criticism all the time. Now, there's a difference between being real with someone and it coming across as harsh because you're telling them the truth, and constructive criticism. And there's a difference in being a punk asshole. You know what I mean? Whether you're a male or a female, just being a punk asshole when you give somebody some criticism. And now here's the thing about opinions. Everybody's got them, right? So if somebody gives me an opinion, and I've always learned this, I've always learned from day one, if somebody's telling you something and you don't give a shit, let it go in one ear and out the other. Just nod your head, engage, shake hands, and tell that person thank you, right? And in a case that I've seen happen, a lot of times here, and it's not just one instance where somebody is eager to get some advice from somebody in the business, and that person gives them the advice and is just a complete asshole to them, right? Well, I told that person when this scenario popped up, I said, that's that person's opinion, whether they're right or wrong. I said, did what they say to you, whether you believe it or not, I watched the footage too, whether you believe it or not, did what they say to you motivate you to want to work harder to get better? Or did what they say to you depress you and drag you down to the point that you're not going to work hard? You're going to really let what was said to you beat you up. And in a business where you can't let constructive criticism beat you up for these young guys out here. So, and that person said, it motivated me to get better. I said, well, then good. Then their opinion was great advice. Whether it's mean, ruthless, or wrong, I mean, we have to watch the way we're talking to some of this young talent nowadays. And it ain't even about being overly sensitive. It is just about, like, if someone comes up to me and they really want some advice and they're serious about it, and I just give them, man, you fucking suck. You shouldn't be in the ring. You don't know what you're doing. I don't know who lets you get in here and start training. We talked about it at the table. Me, you, and the guys, that when the new referee had come back, you had walked through the curtain. And my attitude, it wasn't bad, but I was just like, I can't do this. I can't work with this. Why didn't somebody let me know about this? And I took a little walk back and I thought about my recovery and all the change I've made. And it's like I was telling you, it's like, no, I can do this. I can work with anybody. And that's, if we're going to sit here and say that, make a claim that we're professionals, then we have to be professionals. And that doesn't mean we just have to act professional. It means from top to bottom, we are professionals. We can say harsh things, but we have to say them in a way that these guys want to hear what we're saying. And you don't ever want to scare people away. That's not what a pro does. A good coach makes people perform better. Motivates them, gets them to want to work harder. And sometimes, in being a shitty coach or a shitty person, if you say it to the right person, you can motivate them just off being a shitty person, whether you drank too much or whatever the fuck's going on, or you're just being an asshole. But that was a big moment for me. It was like, dude, I literally was like, I can't work with this guy. No, you can, Zach. You can. And that's one of the gifts you have. I don't have to go around and go, I'm the best wrestler in NorCal. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm so tired of it. There's so many jerk-offs that aren't around anymore because they claim that they're better than everybody else. And I don't even have to mention those people's names, but if you're telling somebody else how great you are, nobody's listening. Not in a good way, at least.
Right. It's ironic that you're talking about the way that people speak to you and things like that, because we were just having this conversation last night at dinner about basketball situations and not wanting to be coached by someone because they're a harsh coach and they coach you hard and things like that. And it just reminded me to when I was playing in junior college that I had a coach that was, scream and yell, get in your face and things like that. And the biggest takeaway from that is that you have to separate the way that someone is talking, their tone of voice, and what they're saying, right? get the message out of what they're saying, not the emotion out of it, right? So because it very well could be someone is frustrated and they're telling you, honestly what they think about the situation, but their tone is frustration, and so you think that they're yelling at you or they're talking shit to you or telling you you're a piece of shit or whatever. But realistically, they're just saying, hey, this is the mistake that I think you made. Here's how I think you could do it better. So you need to kind of listen to that, listen to the actual words, not the way that it's said. And I know that that's definitely something, and I feel like it wasn't something that was a big deal when you and I were playing sports growing up, right? You had a coach rip your ass. That was just normal, right? That's what you expected. But I feel like these days you have people that are so fragile that somebody says something the wrong way to them, it puts them off, and they're like, "Oh, fuck that guy," and he's a dick or whatever. It's like, no, he's not saying something to you because he wants to be a dick to you. He's saying something to you because he's trying to help you. He wants you to get better, and that was kind of the culmination of the conversation last night. Is somebody sees potential in you, or they see that you have a high ceiling or no ceiling, and they want to push you to your potential, right? They want you to reach what your potential is, and they want you to get to a certain level. We talk about it with Devin Maisie Gildark, right? That we saw something special in him, and it was always our goal to try to get that out of him, right? And that's not the way that he saw it when we were talking to him, 10 years ago. He thought we were being assholes and, didn't want him to succeed and talking shit, tell him that he was shitty and stuff like that. But it's like, no, realistically, we saw that you had something, you could get to a certain level if you pushed yourself. And we were just trying to get you to push yourself to get to that level.
It's like when I show up at class, last Thursday, it starts at 6. I'm outside. I think I'm talking to Doc, and I think it's like 6:10 maybe. I was just out there talking. So I'm thinking maybe these guys are getting stretched out, getting going, right? And I hear a bunch of fucking ass grabbing and dick playing going on, and I look in there, and it looks like 15, 20 people faking wrestling all over the place and in and outside the ring, dry humping each other. And so I come in and I say, what the fuck is going on? And everyone's like, oops, got the old hand caught in the pickle jar, right? Ugh. And I tell him, you dry humping someone? And like Bad News was right at the helm of it. And he's just like, it's like catching your dog. Like what dog pissed on the floor? And the other dog's just all happy. And the other dog starts like creeping off, or he's nervous. Okay, it was you. And I come in and I go, man, we're 12 minutes into when class is supposed to start, and you guys are fucking off. Like that, if I'm not here, you're gonna fuck off. And that's why I have like Manny or Arsonist as my coaches that get in there, and they're my coaches. And I know I'm gonna get something going for them or coach them in something so they can coach everybody else. But Manny coached football. Arsonist is a motivated leader. So those guys are going to come into class, and if the time clicks over to when class is supposed to start and everyone's going to Pity City or playing around, those guys are going to be like, all right, everyone get in here. It's time to stretch out. Let's get going. That's my leader. I picked them as my leader, and I decided to coach them to coach and let them be the coaches, because I know they're going to ring this thing in. But there's a lot of times, man, that I know, like, what would happen over here in this building if I wasn't there. And it doesn't scare me. It just makes me really laugh. Like, oh, this would be an atrocious fucking class if I wasn't there. These guys would be, and it was a scenario the other day where I've given these guys like a bunch of different, heat around the ring, all the reversals, the headlock, rise up, all this stuff so that they can actually perform a 10, 12-minute match. off of stuff that we've been working on without having to choreograph. And the two youngest kids, the Living the Dream winner, Justin and Chris, the runner up, and they've been busting their ass, man. These two kids are going to be great, especially because of the consistency and the dedication. But I just remember like they kind of got lost for a second and they started like trying to whip each other off the rope and doing moves that they've never been taught how to do. And I shut shit down. And I'm like, what is it about people, these youngsters in wrestling going through their training when they get lost or confused? They're like, here, sit on the top rope. I'm going to climb up and do a fucking Hurricane Rana. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't know how to do a flying head scissor. Why are you trying to powerbomb this guy right now? It's like, it seems like when wrestlers panic, not only do they panic and show, instead of grabbing a hold, they want to do something that's even more, the most dangerous thing physically possible. They're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Here, come here. I'm going to pile drive you. You know what I mean? I'm going to hit that one stupid move that everybody does. What is that stupid fucking move called? The Petey Williams, the Destroyer. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to do this stupid fucking Canadian Destroyer because I did it to my buddy on the trampoline the other day, and it fucking didn't hurt. Well, it might hurt in this ring if you don't know how to fucking do this stupid move.
That's it, man. And I think that's what it is, man. It's, you have something special when you can be out of the way there, and people just kind of get it started on their own, right? I think about that. Like I give basketball lessons, and I kind of know like so it's clicking with someone as soon as they start the warm up that I always start with, So that's when I kind of go, okay, this person is figuring it out. They kind of know what the routine is. This is how we're going to warm up. This is how we're going to kind of get a lot of volume of shots up real quick. So when I walk up and they're already getting going on that, as we're getting ready to start, then I know, okay, this guy's got it figured out. And same type of thing here in an hour from now, when wrestling class starts, we'll see if it's bullshitting at the beginning or if it's like, all right, we're going to get going and we're going to get better today. So it's, I don't know if people understand that, right? If we're not going to get started and try to get better right off the bat, then we're probably, we're going to struggle. And if you're not willing to kind of, it kind of goes to where you have the guys that like to get in the ring before the shows and work on stuff, whether it's a part of their match or it's not, right? They just like to get in the ring and they like to just, get a sweat, move around, chain with somebody, amateur with somebody, whatever it is, they're just trying to get better, right? Trying to figure out a new escape or a new hold or whatever. I was talking to the old Kid Carson about their match and how he was trying to get out of a headlock, and I'm like, what were you doing? He's like, I don't know. I was like, we've never worked on that. We've never been taught that. You just decided in the middle of a fucking match in front of a crowd, you're going to try to do some reversal that you've never done before. That's not the way we do things. Like if you thought about something during a match, you go, hey coach, here's what I was thinking about this. Can I do a different escape from this hold? Because then it might be like, yeah, let's look at it. What were you thinking? Oh, I was thinking about this. Could I get out like this? And then we can break it down. Yeah, that's a good idea, or no, that's a terrible idea. Let's never do that again. So it just yeah, well, that's exactly what it was. You're just talking about people just get panicked and I'm going to whip a guy off, right? And I think that actually happened in a match with you. The guy was going to whip you off, and it's like, you're not telling me what's going on here, bud. So I am not gonna be Irish whipped here. We're gonna just hang on right here where we're at. I'll just hang on to the corner or hang on to the rope or cut you off or whatever.
And when we were younger, we would have allowed that to happen. It's
Absolutely, 100%.
it's experience. You know what I mean? I've been whipped off the rope when the guy doesn't call it young in my career. And I came back and my coaches and my trainers or the promoter ate my fucking lunch in the locker room, man. Just fucking let me have it. What the fuck was going on out there? And I'm like, well, he just whipped me. He didn't say nothing. He's like, well, then why the fuck did you go? And I was like, what do you want me to do? I hold on to the rope. Cut him off, grab a hold, do something to him. Don't let him do that to you. So these are things that we're talking about from experience, man. It's like when a guy goes to whip you, if you don't talk to you, well, and it's like with the experience factor of it, why are you even talking to me? And I believe in that scenario, A, I was the bad guy, and B, they were the inexperienced baby face who hasn't even been wrestling. They've been training like 8 months to a year, but haven't even been wrestling on shows for 6 months yet. So you're the baby face, the inexperienced baby face. You're in there with the 25, 26-year veteran who's the heel, who's been all over. Why are you telling me anything you're going to do in the ring? You know, and that becomes the problem with what's going on. And everyone's going to be a ring general, right? Like, no, not everybody's a ring general. We see that on national television. Not everybody's a ring general. You know, we're not just going to throw this guy in the playoffs with a healthy Tom Brady on the bench trying to go to the Super Bowl because everybody needs a shot, right? Nah, you got to earn your shot, man. You got to earn your right to speak. You got to earn your right to make some calls. You have, but you always talk about basketball. You got to earn the right to be the guy to take that final shot. It's like Jordan, all those game-winning shots. He always put the ball in Jordan's hand because he wants to win. What was the game? I believe it was Steve Kerr. When Steve Kerr got the ball and hit the game winner over Michael Jordan, and they went to the championship parade. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 5-minute mark has passed. We were just in cahoots here. But, you know, it was Kerr that night. You never know who the unexpected hero is going to be, and you never know when it's going to be your time to step up and shine. So don't stay ready. What is it, Paul?
Yeah, you don't have to get ready if you just stay ready.
Stay ready, baby. Be ready. Yeah. Be ready at all times.
I thought you were going to go deep into that story when he was talking about at the parade. It's like, yeah, well, then we were drawing up the play, and it's like, I think we're going to get the ball to Michael. And he's like, oh, no, this is too big of a situation for me. I don't think I can handle it. So they decided to pass me the ball, and I made the shot. And it's like, you know, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it type of thing.
Yeah, I was going to go there. But then I saw where the fucking time was up there, and I got distracted. But, you know, perfect example. I heard, what's his name, and this was big to me, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar the other day when he was asking who's the GOAT.
Right,
Are you the GOAT? Is Michael the GOAT? Is LeBron the GOAT? And he said, man, Michael Jordan wanted to win. He said Michael Jordan never flopped and was crying for a call on that Celtic green in Boston. And then, you know, here's LeBron James flopping on there begging for a fourth quarter call in front of these Celtic fans. He said, that's weakness. That ain't strength. That's weakness. He said, I don't give a shit how good he is. He said, you can't be the GOAT if you're weak. And that's the truth, man. It's like, who's the GOAT? You never know who the GOAT is because the GOAT is going to be different to everybody, man. I think you're the GOAT when it comes to the big guys, man. I just got in the ring with you. Fuck, how long has it been since we touched each other? And that sounds so gross. Like, we obviously last night, but I mean, how long has it been since we actually like physically made contact in a wrestling ring?
So it's been forever.
That match we watched, right?
Right. Yeah, probably.
15 years ago.
Right.
It was so smooth, and we were better now than we were then. I cannot wait. We talked about this on the podcast. We're running out of time, but I am very excited because I'm going to get to work Paul, and we're doing it at a very old ass age. And I think it's going to be the best piece of business we've ever put together.
Well, I will have to agree.
And the jump. I wish we had video on here so we could see the after jump after the Oh, you were just so intent. Yeah. I was like, look at that. Look at that 2-inch vertical leap on the 7-foot giant over here. He's pumped up and ready. Hey, you got anything else real quick?
I do not, man. I just know that you know what we're doing. We're going over and subscribe, share, all that stuff, man.
Hit
Get your
that
friends
button,
to
please.
subscribe.
Hit
That'd be
that button,
nice.
please.
Click it. It's easy.
Just a clicker.
Clicker.